G'day Bomber fans, we finally have some concrete injury news. The club released the final injury report of 2024 and there is some mixed news. There is some good and some the opposite of good. So we're going to talk about that today, all the injuries and just some off-season updates. So a quicker video today, let's waste no time and get right into it. Starting with the main bit of news, small forward Matt Guelfi had a really unfortunate setback on the final session of 2024. He has done his hamstring, which is just a shocker of an injury to do this close to pre-season. So Guelfi is going to miss a fair bit of time and won't be able to build up fitness like others can do. There isn't really a return date set in mind, it seems, which if anything is more worrying than if there was one. Hamstring strains or tears can usually, well, they come in 3 grades, and the lowest at this point of the year would take at least a month for him to get back into full training. That's the best case scenario if it isn't just a tweak, which it doesn't seem to be. If it was a tweak, it would probably not be, I guess, or they'd have a timeline set on it. So this could easily be a February or even March return if it's bad. That means he's already on the back foot for round 1. Even if he is healthy, he may not be match fit. So yeah, not a good one for Guelfi. And the question now really is, do we need to start worrying about his body? We already worry about Cox and Reed, but is Guelfi now lumped into that hive? I've always loved him as a role player. I think he makes us a better team, but lately he just hasn't been fit enough to last a whole season. He has all these soft tissue injuries that limit his game time. I still think he's an important player to our system at his best, and we saw that in patches in 2024 early and also in 2022 when he was on the podium in the Crichton, but he has never actually played a full season at the club. Every year there is an injury, usually short term, and he is now going into a season where there is serious competition for spots in that forward line with Kako now, so you've got to hope he bounces back from this injury and manages to break his way into that team sooner rather than later. So yeah, Guelfi, hamstring on the last session of 2024, don't know when he's going to be back unfortunately, but it doesn't look good. So the other longer term injury to stress over is Jye Caldwell. This one isn't new. He's had this hip operation to clean out and bring in more longevity, I guess, fix the issue now rather than during the season, because he was playing through a niggle in 2024. He wasn't 100% fit. The issue now is that he isn't scheduled to return to full training until around February, late January, early February. So he's been running and he'll keep running off to the side a bit over the break, but he hasn't really been active in training, and that's going to change in the preseason. He's going to start gradually getting more involved in strenuous drills, and yeah, hopefully just before February he's with us in main training. That way he can have about a month or so of high intensity work before the season starts. So yeah, Caldwell's still going through that hip rehab. Hopefully we see him back in around a month. Then McKay is another who had he's been on the sidelines a little bit this year. He had an ankle issue that he needed to work through. He had a little operation to fix it up, so he's just flowing along right now. He's doing small amounts of work. He wasn't really involved in the match sim or anything, but he should be back soon. I'm not too worried about him for round 1. Ideally he'd be getting loads of work in with the off-season training crew, but we will, I guess, just have to hope he comes back this pre-season in really good shape and works hard to get that extra bit of fitness in that he may have missed out on with that ankle cleanup. The word is he will be running straight away in our first session next year, but he'll take until the end of January to integrate into main training. Alrighty, Xavier Duursma. Now, he isn't listed as injured on the Essendon website, but he did pull up sore from a training session the other week. He had a little hamstring complaint and since then was only really seen running laps pretty standardly. And now that's a good sign early, running right after the initial injury or niggle. And the fact he isn't listed anywhere to me suggests he is going to be absolutely fine, and it was just a bit of tightness maybe rather than a strain or a tear like Guelfi. And this is a player I actually think is really important to our system as well, so we got to hope he's doing okay. On to some newer boys. Jayden Nguyen, he has had a bit of a knee clean out, so he must have been holding a bit of a meniscus niggle potentially. This is very minor, it seems. He will be running straight away when our first session is underway, and he should be back in main training shortly after that. I'm sure they're going to be pretty precautionary with him, seeing as he's young. He's a Category B rookie who is really more of a project player than anything. And Zak Johnson, he is also not listed on the website, but he did have a shoulder reconstruction around the end of the Talent League season, a bit before maybe. So he actually hasn't really been doing much at all at the hangar, but we will see him back in action training next year. He might have the fluoro cap on for a while, the Jye Menzie fluoro cap, which just means no contact. But aside from that, he should be rearing to go. I'm keen to see how he goes, to be honest. He's one of the draftees that I'm most intrigued about and hopeful for in terms of game time next year. I think he's someone who, if he impresses, could play a bit of footy in 2025. Now, some other bits of news. The boys did just go out on a quick little 2-day camp to Mount Buller. It was kind of under wraps until it happened. I didn't know about it until seeing it plastered on Instagram. But while they were there, they were split into 4 teams and they had to work together in a number of different tasks and challenges, testing the brain and brawn. The main one was a 25-kilometer mountain bike ascent of the mountain on a hot day too, apparently. So that's a hefty trek. And then on day 2, it was on foot. It was a hiking day, not just walking though. The team also did a 3-kilometer incline run, and there was also a rock climb as well on day 2. So although this camp, it wasn't long, it was pretty intense from the looks of things, both mentally and physically. I like the idea of camps. We don't do them every year, only really when big groups of players join the club, to be honest. But yeah, although this is something most clubs do quite often, these little camps, it's still something that can only really improve the culture and I guess individual strength of a player as well, unless it is the 2018 Adelaide Crows camp, but we're not going to talk about that. That is all though for the video. Super quick little injury update for you guys. Cheers for watching. I've got a video out in a few days where I don't do the work for once, so stay tuned for that. You get to hear me relay information from Absolutely Essendon and Scooter McNeese and some other guys, so good fun there. But that is all. Cheers for watching. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.